All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another revision checklist video. In this video, we're going to be talking about equation of circle. So we've already covered coordinate geometry, the rest of coordinate geometry in another video. You can find the link for that in the description. But this is going to be about equation of circle. Okay, so we're going to cover all the key concepts that you need to know about this particular topic. All right, so first of all, what is the standard form of the equation of a circle? Equation of a circle looks like this: x minus a whole square plus y minus b whole square equals r square. A and b here are the coordinates of the center of the circle. Okay, A is the x coordinate, B is the y coordinate, and R is the radius of the circle. This is the standard format you have for the equation of a circle. Now, how are we going to use that? Let's say we have to find the equation of a circle that has a radius 6 units and center is -4 and 5. So this is the standard form that we've got. X minus a whole square plus y minus b whole square equals r square. What is we just input values? A की जगह पे -4 डाल दिया, B की जगह पे 5 डाल दिया. Okay, so x minus -4, it becomes x plus 4. And y minus 5, we got y minus 5 whole square here, equals r square. The radius was 6, so उसको हमने 6 square कर दिया, right? You can simplify the right side, 6 square becomes 36. So you can just keep your equation in this form, and that's perfectly okay. अगर उसने आपसे expanded form में simplified form में मांगा हो, आपने इन squares को expand कर देना है, and you get this form again. You've got everything, all the terms on the left side and 0 on the right side. Both of these forms are okay. That's the equation of the circle. Okay, so you need two things for the equation. One is the radius, and the other is the coordinates of the center. If you have those two things, you can write down the equation of the circle after that. Okay. Now let's go the other way around. A lot of times what you have to do is you have the equation of the circle given, and you have to find the coordinates of the center and also the radius of that circle. Okay, आपको radius find करना होता है और center find करना होता है using the equation of the circle. So let's say you got this equation given: x minus 4 whole square plus y plus 7 whole square equals 64. You've got this equation given. आपने इसका radius find करना है, center find करना है. How do you find that? It's already pretty much the standard form. आप सिर्फ right side पे क्या करो, इसको compare कर लो standard form के साथ. X minus a whole square plus y minus b whole square equals r square. So you just compare. A की जगह पे क्या रखा हुआ है? A की जगह पे you've got 4. Okay, so minus a की जगह पे -4, so a equals 4. Instead of minus b, you've got 7. That means b equals -7. That's coordinates of the center again, which are 4 and -7. On the right side, you've got 64, which corresponds to r square in the standard form. You say r square equals 64, and radius turns out to be 8. Of course, when we take square root here, we don't put negative sign because radius negative nahi ho sakta. So we've got the center's coordinates and also the radius of the circle. Now, it's not going to be that straightforward always. A lot of times you have the expanded form of the equation of a circle given. So for example, you could have this equation given. So you want to find the center and the radius of a circle that has an equation that looks like this: x square plus y square minus 4x plus 12y minus 50. Now it's not in the standard form. In the standard form, we have completed squares like this: x minus some constant ka whole square, y minus some constant ka whole square. So we got completed square. This is simplified form. तो यहाँ पे क्या करते हैं? We complete the square for both x and y separately. So how do you start? You take the x terms together. So आपने x terms को इकट्ठा कर लिया यहाँ पे, y terms को इकट्ठा लिख लिया. X square minus 4x and y square plus 12y. You write them together. And then you complete the square for each one of them separately. आपने x का square अलग से complete कर लिया. So you added 2 square and subtracted 2 square, like you've done that process in quadratics. And similarly for y square, you add 6 square and you subtract 6 square. जो constant आपके पास रह गया था, constant को आपने दूसरी side पे जाके दूसरी side पे आप लेके उसको आपने वहाँ right side पे रख लिया. Okay, and now what you get is you get some completed squares. So from the first 3 terms here, you get x minus 2 whole square. जो y वाला minus 2 whole square था, it comes here as -4. And similarly, for the y terms, these 3 terms here are going to give you a perfect square. That perfect square looks like this: y plus 6 whole square. और इसके बाद भी constant आपके पास -6 whole square है. That's minus 36, that stays as it is. Now you take all the constants to the right side. So minus 4 or minus 36 का right side पे ले गए. So you get 50 plus 36 plus 4, which gives you 90 here. Now this is the standard form of the equation of a circle. You've got perfect square on the left side. You compare it with the standard form, x minus a whole square plus y minus b whole square. उसके साथ आपने compare किया. Again, you see instead of minus a, you've got minus 2. So a corresponds to 2 here. And you've got minus b and minus 6 here. Minus b and plus 6 here. B corresponds to negative 6. So the coordinates of the center, therefore, are 2 and minus 6. Right side पे आपके पास 90 है. उसका square root कर लेंगे. That's your radius. That's square root of 90. So that's how you can find the radius and center given the equation of a circle. Okay, now circle equations के अंदर, now you've got to recall these circle theorems that you've done in O-levels, because you'll have to use them over and over again. So you have to remember these theorems. So let me quickly review them again, because you have to be using them quite often. So I'm starting with the ones that are used most often. So first of all, you've got this property. If you've got a line coming from the center of the circle, to the midpoint of a chord, the angle that you get here is the 90 degrees. And the other way around is also true. अगर center से एक line आती है chord के ऊपर, if it's making a 90 degrees, तो वो chord को दो parts में divide करती है, वो bisect करती है chord, right? So this is the first property that you need to know of. Then you've got this property, angle in a semicircle. So if you've got this diameter, if this green line is the diameter, the angle that the ends of this line of this diameter make with the circumference is always 90, right? आपको 90 होता है, कोई भी angle आप बनाओगे circumference के ऊपर, you're going to have a 90 degrees here. ठीक है? कोई भी और chord 90 नहीं बनाती. That's also an important thing to know. Only diameter makes 90 degrees. Every other chord either makes greater than 90 or less than 90. अगर 90 degrees angle बन रहा है, that should tell you it's the diameter. Okay. Acha, then it's a very simple property. Radius is perpendicular to the tangent. किसी भी एक point के ऊपर अगर आप radius draw करो, this is your point. इस point से आप radius draw करो, center के साथ drawing करके उस पर tangent draw करो. Both of them are going to be perpendicular to each other, right? 90 degrees angle बनता है इनके दरमियान. Then you've got this fourth property that's also used pretty often. The first four properties आपको बता रहा हूँ, they're used very often. Angle वाली properties इतनी ज़्यादा use नहीं होंगी. उसके बाद तीन properties हैं. This is very common as well. Tangents coming from a common point. So in this case, this is written around here. So you're talking about, just change this a bit. Actually change the figure there. So these points do not correspond to that. So we're talking about tangents coming from a common point C here, the point outside the circle, that's outside the circle, that's equal to each other, which means CB is going to be equal to CD. Both the tangents are equal to each other, right? That's the property. Tangents coming from one single point to a circle, they are both equal. Obviously, there are a couple of other things that you also need to know about. If I were to, since this is a 90 degrees, so you also know this is the tangent radius. These are tangents and radii, so they make 90 degrees with each other. If I were to draw a line here like this, these angles will also be equal. So this angle here, if I call this alpha, this angle is also alpha. They're equal to each other. Similarly, if I call this angle theta, this angle is also going to be theta. ये दोनों angles भी आपके equal होंगे. Okay, and along with that, if I were to make a line here like this, ये जो line आपके बनाएगी यहाँ पे, ये 90 degrees बनाएगी, right? So these are some things that you often have to use in some questions. You have to keep these things in mind. Okay, now these are properties that are used most often in different types of questions. Now, let's quickly recall the other angle properties as well. If you've got a chord here, or an arc here, or a chord, you can think of it both ways. This arc or chord, let's say they make an angle at the center of the circle. Let's call the center O, and they also make another angle at the circumference, the angle at the center is 2 times the angle at the circumference, right? So that's another property. And you've got the cyclic quadrilateral. Cyclic quadrilateral में क्या होता है? Opposite angles का sum जो है वो 180 degrees होता है. So angles B and D that you see here, they add up to 180, and the angles A and C that you see here, they also add up to 180. These are called supplementary angles. And finally, angles in the same segment on the same chord are also equal. So अगर आप एक arc है या एक chord है, let's say this is one arc, or this is an arc or a chord, the angles that the ends of this arc and the chord make at the circumference, they are equal. So green में जो आपके पास ये angle बन रहा है, this angle, if this angle is x, this angle is also going to be x, right? So you've done these properties in O levels. You have to recall them because you'll have to use them pretty often here, especially the first 4 properties that I've shown you here. Okay, acha. Now this is something very important. Now it comes from the very first property that we saw here. Remember, center se like line aati hai chord ke upar. If it makes a 90 degrees, it bisects that chord. Now, what the reverse of that means is any chord that you have on a circle. So for instance, I've got one chord here, another chord here, and another chord here. The center of the circle is going to lie on the perpendicular bisectors of every one of these chords, right? So if I have these points like this, A, B, C, D, E, F, C is going to lie on the perpendicular bisector of AB, and also on the perpendicular bisector of CD, and also on the perpendicular bisector of EF. Any chord that you make in a circle, उसका जो perpendicular bisector होगा वो circle से जरूर circle के center से जरूर pass करेगा, right? So that's an important thing that you need to know about. Let's see how that may be used. So let's say you've got to find the equation of a circle that passes through the points P, Q, and R, and you've got their coordinates given. So let's say it's a situation like this. ये circle है, इसके ऊपर coordinates मैंने draw कर दिए P, Q, R के, right? So you've got the circle that passes through P, Q, and R. You've got 3 points on the circle. You have to find the equation of the circle. Now remember, what do we need for the equation of a circle? We need the center of the circle, उसकी coordinates चाहिए, and we also need the radius of the circle. How do you find the center? We just discussed center जो होता है circle का वो हर chord के perpendicular bisectors, center जो है वो हर chord के perpendicular bisector के ऊपर lie करता है. So what you can do is you can find the equations of perpendicular bisectors of any one of these 3 chords. So which 3 chords? You have this chord PQ, you have this chord PR, you have this chord QR. आप तीनों chords में से कोई भी 2 ले लो, उनके perpendicular bisectors draw करो. For instance, I take, let's say, QR. इसका perpendicular bisector draw नहीं करना, मतलब you find their perpendicular bisectors. And let's say PQ, you find their equations. You find the equations of these perpendicular bisectors, and then you solve them simultaneously, because इनके perpendicular bisectors के ऊपर आपका center lie कर रहा होगा. The point of intersection of these perpendicular bisectors is going to give you the center of the circle. So how do you find the center of the circle? You find the equations of the perpendicular bisectors of any 2 of these chords. किसी कोई भी 2 आप ले लें, ठीक है? Solve them simultaneously, because simultaneously solve करके आपको क्या मिलेगा? उनका point of intersection मिल जाएगा. उनका point of intersection क्या है? उनका point of intersection is this point C, which is the center of the circle. ठीक है, simultaneously solve कर लिया उनको, you get the center of the circle. Once you have the center of the circle, आप उस center का distance find कर लें किसी भी point के साथ. You can find CP, you can find CP like this, you can find CR, you can find CQ, any one of the 3, वो आपको radius मिल जाएगा. So you'll have the center, you will have the radius. You can just write down the equation of the circle using the standard form of equation like the circle. Okay, all right. Achha. So this is another thing that comes up sometimes. You have this equation of a circle that's x minus 5 whole square plus y plus 2 whole square equals 25. There's a point P that has these coordinates. You have to figure out whether this point P lies inside the circle or outside the circle. How do you figure that out? So you've got the equation of the circle. What you can do from that is you can find the center is coordinates, center coordinates क्या होंगे अगर आप compare करो standard form के साथ? Remember the standard form? It was x minus a whole square plus y minus b whole square equals r square. If you compare with that, you get 5 and minus 2. These are the coordinates of the center. Center coordinates आ गया आपके पास. Now what you can do is you can find the distance of the center of the circle from the point P. तो आपने distance find किया. The distance turns out to be 4.47 using distance formula. Radius क्या है इस circle का? 25 का square root करें, right? Because r square is equal to 25. Radius of the circle is equal to 5. Since the radius is 5 and the distance of the point P from C is 4.47, इसका मतलब ये कि C से इसका distance 4.47 है, तो it has to be inside the circle because radius 5 है, right? 5 से ज़्यादा होता तो फिर P बाहर होता. Since the distance CP is less than 5, the point P lies inside the circle. Okay, all right. Now that's pretty much all the key concepts that you need to know about. Let's have a look at this question. This covers a couple of other important things. Let's say you've got a circle that has center at the point B. There's a point A that lies on the circle. So A lies on the circle, B is the center of the circle. That's what you're given. Now, the point C is such that AC is the diameter of the circle, and there's a point D that has coordinates 5 and 16. Okay, let's think about this. So I've drawn the circle here on the side. There's a point B that is the center. So B is the center of the circle. You can see that there. A is a point that lies on the circumference. It's somewhere on the circumference. AC is the diameter. If AC is the diameter, what that means is C is going to be on the other side of the circle as A. A एक side पर होगा, C is going to be directly on the opposite side. So इसका मतलब क्या है? B is the midpoint of AC, right? The point B is actually midpoint of AC, right? Like we did in coordinate geometry revision video. We can find this, find the coordinates of C using the vector method. What we can say is, how can we go from the point A to B? A से B पे जाने के लिए H के अंदर you have to add 3. So in order to go from B to C further, you do the same thing again. You add 6 more, you get 11 here. You add 3 more here, and you get 4 here. So the coordinates of C therefore turn out to be 11 and 4. तो आपने देख लिया B क्योंकि middle में lie करता था. आपने देख लिया क्यों B क्योंकि सेंटर में लाई करता था, तो उसके लिए आपको जितना हॉरिजॉन्टली जाना पड़ा उतना आप और चले गए, और इसी तरह जितना आपको वर्टिकली B के लिए जाना था उतना ही आप C के लिए और चले गए, right? So you find the point C there. So you now have the coordinates of the point C. Now you have to prove that DC is a tangent to the circle. DC is a tangent to the circle. That's tangent proof करने के लिए आपको क्या करना होता है? You have to do 2 things. You have to show that this line the line DC touches the circle at only one point. That's one thing that you'll have to show. And the second thing is you have to show that the line DC is perpendicular to the radius at that point where the line touches the circle. Okay. अच्छा, DC is a tangent. So इसका मतलब क्या है? C तो हमें एक point तो पता है already. C जो है वो circumference के ऊपर lie करता है, उसने खुद बताया हुआ. AC diameter है, that means C has to lie on the circumference. So we know about that already. So what can we do then? We can find the gradient of the line CD. We have the coordinates of C. We've got the coordinates of D. We've got both of them. We can find the gradient of CD. And similarly, we can also find the gradient of B and C. दोनों के gradients find कर ले. So we've done that here, gradient of DC and gradient of BC. They turn out to be negative reciprocals of each other. You've got -2 here and you've got 1/2 here. Since they're negative reciprocals of each other, we say DC is perpendicular to BC. So we've shown those two things. We have C that lies on the circumference and the radius is perpendicular to the tangent. That means the radius is perpendicular to DC. That means DC is therefore a tangent. Okay, let's look at the next part. Next look at the other tangent from D to the circle touches the circle at E. It's really helpful most of the times to draw a sketch of the figure that you have. For example, in this case, we've got a circle. It will be very, very helpful that you always draw a rough sketch that is not extremely accurate, but it's still reasonable. For instance, in this case, there's one thing that's very important here to notice, and that is the x coordinate of the center of the circle is exactly the same as the x coordinate of the point D. इसका मतलब ये है कि जो point D है, that is vertically above the point B. D is vertically above the center of the circle. Why above? Because ये 1 था, वो 16 है. So D is vertically above the center of the circle. And that's a very important point, because once you know that, हमें क्या करना है? It says that the other tangent from D to the circle touches the circle at E. Find the coordinates of E. So now we know this is a point D here. This is a point D here. It has one tangent coming to the point C. The other tangent is going to be on the other side here. And this point is E here. Okay. Now, since the point D is directly above the center of the circle, it's directly above the center of the circle, we know that these lines are equal in length. These lines are equal in length. What that means is E and C are going to be at the same horizontal level. And the reason for that is that D was directly above the point B. So if I were to draw this line here like this, remember we discussed this, this is 90 degrees. So if BD is vertical, EC is horizontal. What that means is the y coordinate here is going to be 4. So you've got the y coordinate from there already. Okay? Same level as the point C, the y coordinate is 4. How do you find the x coordinate now? Well, you can think of it this way. This is 11. This is 11. You have the center of the circle. Center के ऊपर x coordinate क्या है? 5. Right side पे you've got 11. That's the point C. This is the x coordinate of the point C, which is 11. So E कितना होएगा? E जितना उस side पे distance है, this distance is 6, right? उतना ही distance left side पे, so 5 and 6 minus कर दें, you get -1 here. So the x coordinate of E therefore is going to be -1. So these are the coordinates of the point E there. Okay. All right. I hope you find this helpful. If you found this video helpful, make sure that you subscribe and press the like button also. I will be uploading some more videos. You can find a lot in the description as well. These are all the checklist videos that we have on the channel right now. I'll be making more of them pretty soon, inshallah. And once I'm done with this, I'll also be uploading detailed lectures on most of the A-level topics on this channel. So stay tuned. I'll see you again in another video. Allah Hafiz.